what do you think some of the major adjustments that we need to be aware of when we're doing business with people on the other side of the world?
Prior to all this, I used to run emerging markets at a couple of banks, and I really enjoyed learning the cultures of the different kind of regions. So I'll give you a couple examples before I get there, just to kind of give you context, because it's not a straight answer. I worked for British banks for half my career, and you both speak English, right? But what you mean when I say something and when they say something is completely different. And it took me like 5 years at Barclays to figure out that like that sounds interesting coming from a Brit means no fucking way, right? Like you just don't. And then it was funny when on our trading floor in New York, we had a sign of sayings like, if the Brit says this is what the American it's English equivalent, and it's like all these different phrases. And earlier in my career, I felt like they were lying to me or being deceptive when I really just wasn't understanding the cultural difference.
It's important. Right? That's why I'm asking this question. Yeah.
So I think, so using that story and then taking it to Asia, I think people feel that potentially their word is not their bond, or you say something you agreed to something, and then we're operating as if that's already been agreed. And people start to think that, well, it's like building castles on sand, because nothing seems to be locked down. And I think that's really, I don't think there's like pervasive lying. I don't think that they're intentionally trying to get one over on you. I just don't think culturally people understand when they say things, what they actually mean. Yeah. Right. And I think they like to take positives and run with them, maybe from their imagination. Like what they said was way more positive
than what they really were intending.
So so the advice is that you really connect with somebody that's understands the culture, who's on the ground, and can really help you through a lot of these kind of more important meetings and decisions.
No, that's good. I mean, and that's definitely true. I mean, I've noticed this before when dealing with people in India. Shout out to all my Indians. Please don't kill me for this, but it's true. Like, I've noticed a pattern where like they don't like to say no to things. Like, if I'm not going to do something, I will tell you, brother, you got to find someone else. It's never happening. I'm never doing this. And that's just how we are, just straight shooters, between the eyes, direct. And again, to your point, like, do I want to look at it in the frame of like, you're lying to me, like you just lied to me? I'm not going to receive it that way, because if I were to receive it that way, I wouldn't be factoring in the cultural difference that this is just how they were raised it's not cool to just say no to someone. You say yes, and then you don't do the shit. That's just how it is. You know?
And then you get frustrated and you feel like they let you down, but you're dealing on a contract that they never signed.
Exactly.
And I want to, like you said, Asia's, many different countries, and each culture is different. They're not like all one. And I'm not saying you said
we're
that,
both
like,
ignorant, but I'm probably a little bit more ignorant than you.
No, but like, Singapore and China and Japan and Korea, they're all have their own nuances.
Yeah,
so like,
I was just there, bro. I learned this a little bit. That much I know. But I thought Matrix Sport was conceived in China, but I guess it's a Singaporean. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think our founders were Chinese citizens originally. Yeah. So John and John.
Respect to Matrix Sport. Shout out. Appreciate the business, and it's definitely no hate. I think it's just important conversation that people are scared to have a lot of times. It's just like, and it's not about pointing out flaws or things that you don't agree with. It's about understanding how to work around them to get to the common goal, because like we all have the same, at least in most cases, when you're dealing with good partners, no matter what culture you come from, we all have the same goal in mind. You want to build and get to the end or whatever, but yeah, if we don't understand each other, then we might not be able to get there.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed, especially in Asia in general, when I was traveling as a trader, the level of seniority dictated how much you could actually speak in a meeting. So many times we go into a meeting with government officials or central bankers or something, and the person who spoke the best English and probably the best person to interact with wasn't allowed to speak because they weren't senior enough. So that was my whole experience on the banking side when I was running emerging markets and running the Asia region as well. But when a lot of kudos to Jihan and John and the way they ran Matrix Sport, that hierarchy didn't exist. So they were, people were allowed to speak their mind, and it was, and maybe that's just a younger generation.